What's up, guys? Welcome to the Pre-Scout. This is our brand new show on Wager Talk TV. We're looking at the next day's NHL games, looking over all the breaking news, having guests on, and much, much more. Sorry for the late start here tonight, guys, but we are in for a really, really fun show. Joining me tonight, I've got Gabriel Morency from Sports Grid. He does all kinds of media stuff. If you guys know betting, you know Gabe. And I got all kinds of stuff planned to ask Gabe. And all kinds of memories to go down with his career and his hockey experiences throughout his life. We're going to get some picks, some futures, and all kinds of good stuff out of him. So looking forward to a really, really fun show. We are fresh off a Montreal Canadiens loss. So I am happy to come on and do this show, try and forget about that loss and move forwards. Some big news in the NHL, of course, being Jack Eichel signing his new contract with the Vegas Golden Knights, as they were kind of waiting to hear what the info would be on that one. Pretty reasonable deal with him there. I believe the $12.5 million mark, so not too bad as far as that's concerned. 8-year, $108 million to be exact as far as that. With Marner in Vegas, set to be there for quite some time. Jack Eichel now locked in for that many years, that 8 years. They're going to be good for a very, very long time. Guys, last night, we saw unders go 3-0. I mean, 4-0 or 4-1, excuse me, for Colorado. We saw the upset of the night with the Pittsburgh Penguins upsetting the New York Rangers 3-0. That was wild. And of course, the Florida Panthers and Chicago Blackhawks finishing off that game 3-2. A little bit of a sweat there for the Panthers, but they get the job done and win that one 3-2. So tonight, guys, we're going to look over some of the games that are going on, of course, as we usually do, but we're going to talk more about tomorrow. And tomorrow on Thursday is our first massive NHL slate of the season so far. We've got 13 games to break down, 13 games to get to. I'm not saying we're going to have picks for all of them, but we are going to have a ton of picks for you guys, a ton of picks for Thursday's slate. I want to get futures out of Gabe as well. Want to hear which teams he expects to be hot, which teams he expects to kind of cool down this year. But there's all kinds of stuff certainly worth looking at. So looking forward to a really good show here tonight, guys. Probably go for about half an hour and take a look at things, maybe shorter. We'll see. The conversation's always a good one. And when I was on Sports Grid with Gabe yesterday, we were talking about the Canucks. We were talking about Lane Hudson, and it always gets really, really fun. So Boston and Washington, we gave out the under in that game on the pre-scout yesterday. And I'll tell you what, this Bruins team is not going to be an offensive juggernaut, but they got a good goalie with Swayman. They've got an okay defensive core. And I'll tell you, Washington doesn't really scare me offensively either. So we cashed that under. We hit some props. We did lose the Montreal one, but I told you guys, if you lose on Montreal night one, I'm planning on going back to them in night two. So looking forward to a really fun show. We'll make sure we get into some picks, keep you guys posted on everything. But we always want to get the guests in as fast as we can. So without further ado, I see him in here right now. Mr. Gabe Morency. How are you, Gabe?
Hey, good to see you, McInnis. Thanks for having me tonight. Great to have the National Hockey League season back. Sort of really settled in. It was last night. I know the season started, but hearing Chris Cuthbert doing a Leafs Canadiens game tonight was cool. That's I sort of knew, all right, man, I guess winter time's around the corner. Hockey's back when I hear Chris Cuthbert calling a Leafs and a Canadiens game.
You know, I love the summer. Don't get me wrong. I actually hate the cold. For someone that lives in Eastern Canada, I hate cold weather. But it makes it a little more comforting when football's back, hockey's back. I'm ready to stay inside. Besides walking my dog, man, I'm going to be inside every night. Last night, I fell asleep on the couch, Gabe. I'm a guy that loves his bed, all right? I'm not really the kind of guy that falls asleep on their couch. I'm going to probably have to get used to that. You know, locally for me, being in even Eastern time from regular Eastern, that Avalanche game didn't end until about 2:30 in the morning, local time for me. So I woke up and I got 5 in the morning. Where am I? You know, and I'll have to get used to that. Hockey season's back, man. And tomorrow we've got 13 games. So I know, you know, it's a lot of games. I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but later on in the show, we'll definitely be diving into tomorrow because it's the first monstrous slate of the NHL season so far. Your thoughts just on the first, what you've seen so far, the first kind of 2 nights. We saw 3-0 unders yesterday. I mean, small sample size, but I was a bit surprised by that. And then without the empty net goals, it actually would have been 5 straight unders because Boston, Washington went under. And what do we see? At least 2 empty net goals in the Leafs and Habs game.
Yeah, the absolute empty net goals are absolute killers for the plus puck players out there. And something that I warn people about, there's a lot of sort of, people, casual hockey bettors or new people that are not used to fully betting hockey and their eyes light up. Oh, I'm getting a puck and a half. That empty net is always a danger. But you and I talked about this in the preseason, and the first couple of preseason games, different, not the same lineups, but it took about 4 or 5 games, 3-4 games for games to start to open up a little bit. And as you stated, we've seen an early trend to the under. 5 games played so far coming into tonight's nightcap with 2 games left. And there's only been one over. The Leafs and the Canadiens game has been the only game to go over the numbers so far. And I played the under in the Flames and the Oilers. It's 6, but it was plus 100 at 6. So I laid 35 cents for 6.5. So I've got under 6.5 in the Flames game. And I played Frederick to get a point at plus 125, over 0.5 points, obviously playing on the top line right now. But so that's what, I'm keeping my eye on this. Something that's interesting coming into tomorrow is, and, only the NHL. Number one, there's a lot of, talk lately in the news about the WNBA and their commissioner being incompetent. Well, they obviously don't pay attention to the National Hockey League very much. Like, great idea is opening up the season on a Tuesday afternoon at 5:00 Eastern at the same time as the Major League Baseball playoffs. The Florida Panthers played the Chicago Blackhawks, who have the lowest season point total projection in the league. Like, seriously, that's like the Philadelphia Eagles opening up the season on Thursday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans. It's like, would the NFL do that? No. They'd be like, why would we put a crappy team? No, they wouldn't do that. Right? So there's just so much, you wonder about the NHL, what the hell they're thinking. And I got to wonder, too, why is it that we're in night 2 of the league already, the season, and you got teams playing on back-to-back? Like, this is the best schedule you can come up with? So we have an instance with the Kings playing at a back-to-back, and tomorrow night, Chicago, the Blackhawks take on the Boston Bruins, who just played tonight in Washington. Montreal Canadiens open up with back-to-back road games. They take on the Detroit Red Wings on the road. The Vancouver Canucks will be hosting a Calgary Flame team that are playing the Edmonton Oilers right now. So there's a lot of weird scheduling spots early in the season tomorrow already.
Somebody responded to me. I asked that same question, Gabe, and somebody said to me the reason being, and you tell me if this is a good enough excuse, but someone said, well, Chicago has a good hockey market, so they can put them against the Florida Panthers. People are going to tune in to watch that. But it's like, look at the NBA, look at the NFL, look what they do to start the season off. As you mentioned, I like the Tennessee Titans taking pot shots out of nowhere. They're taking some shots fired, but it's true. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. You're getting the Florida Panthers. Let's not forget, not even like back-to-back, not even just defending Stanley Cup champions, back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions, and you feed them the Chicago Blackhawks.
And
I don't
think
like
of the options. No, you're almost giving them a free pass to start the season. Hey, guys, you know what I mean? You should be playing a real team. All right, they don't want to put Edmonton on TV because they're a Canadian team. So that's just, that's just point blank fact. So Edmonton's not going to be in the mix. They could add the Stanley Cup rematch, fine. But guys, look, Tampa Bay and Florida beat the living crap out of each other in a preseason game last week. That could have been saved for opening night. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Big time rivals, state rivals. They love the state of Florida. They got their hockey. They're doing the outdoor game there. Why not just open the damn season there and say, all right, we got Tampa and Florida. They can beat the crap out of each other. We'll get headlines because there's going to be fights and stuff. So there'll be highlights on all the networks. And/or, I don't know, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Dallas Stars, whatever. There's a bunch of teams you could have brought in except the Blackhawks. And now you have these teams going back to back. But it is what it is. So it's obviously too early for trends right now, right? But I imagine the games will start to open up as we have the slate tomorrow. But I pulled the trigger, and I've got some futures ready to share with you.
Well, and the thing is, people talk about the fact that, they need to, in the preseason, play their own division, right, Gabe, because of the money and financial purposes. I think that it'd be great if the Metropolitan played the Atlantic and the Central played the Pacific. Like, is it healthy
I'll tell you
for the
why.
Ottawa Senators to have that? Like, look at the Ottawa Senators and
Habs
game.
Here. So people are like, oh, they want this or that. So like, why are teams playing back to back? I'll tell you why. They're cheap. Point blank.
Yeah.
They're cheap. They don't want to spend money in hotels. Like this is right. Like it's people always want to look for this reason and that reason and overthink. And it's always the same thing in life, guys. Money. It comes down. Why do they like the playoff format the way they do now? Well, it's automatic rivals. No, you also can basically take buses from the locations because they're all close to each other. Right? They save money. But
this is the thing, though. Florida and Tampa Bay, were they playing hockey in the final preseason? Was that hockey out there? Ottawa and Montreal, second last preseason game. Did any players make or not make the team because of those preseason games? No. It was buffoonery. It was just absolute. It was just lunatics out there. It was AHL players out there just running around trying to injure players. How is that good for the league? So I guess my whole point is the rivalries, like you kind of sparked an idea in my head, Gabe. These teams should be playing on opening night, not in the opening of the preseason. Before I get to some futures with you, you mentioned something. I had to bring it up. Ralph Michaels, we'll talk about this later on in the show. I don't want to keep you too long, but he mentioned something. I asked him, Gabe, what's the record here for the teams that have already played a game versus the teams that have not?
Interesting debate.
Listen to this here. Game number 2 versus game number 1, 33 and 47, 41%. So favoring the team that has not played a game quite yet. Now, here's the deal. This one is pretty interesting. So if the first team lost that has played a game, 12 and 23, 34%. So if they lost their first game and they're playing a team that has not played a game yet, these numbers say that you should back the team that has not played a game yet. And here's one that I think is interesting.
I kind of feel that way too, looking at this tomorrow.
I like the over. Here's one that's interesting with that exact same situation. Team that lost their first game playing a team that hasn't played a game yet. 21, 12, and 2, 63% to the over on a run for a team that's coming off a loss. You know, the desperation, the motivation for that team.
Well, that would be Vegas and LA tonight then, right? LA played last night and lost.
Yeah, exactly. So kind of in New York and Buffalo tomorrow.
Montreal,
so kind of interesting.
Montreal and Detroit. Now, I heard you say this too, and I was sort of thinking the same thing. I'm like, damn, the Canadiens lose here. I believe the Canadians are in Chicago on Saturday, if I stand corrected. I think they could probably lose again here, McInnis, tomorrow. Like, this is a weird spot. They didn't really look very good tonight. You got a very quick turnaround. Red Wings are a young, fast team, right? So they're going to match up well with the Canadians. The total is 6.5. Speaking of these totals, 6.5. You got a pretty high number here. Odds makers are expecting some goals in this game. But that could be a tough spot for the Habs tomorrow. The Habs could be looking at an 0-2 start.
It was so weird for the Habs because, Gabe, I found that this team, it was like the opposite of before. Before, they used to not create any chances, and then with the chances they didn't create, they finally get one, then they'd score. And now this time, they had so many chances all game, but they didn't do anything with it. Like, I'm the biggest fan of Slafkovsky. I defend him to everybody. The guy had like 7 shots, but not one of those shots was I ever like, hey. I never really thought he was going to score on any one of those shots. So there's a thing about shots, and there's also a thing about making those shots count. So it's definitely interesting to look at, but we'll see what it comes down to this team. I think that I'm pot committed. I already said it. I said it on your show. I'm saying it on this show. I said it to my clients already. I'm playing both. If they would have won tonight, I wouldn't have played tomorrow. I'm kind of already pot committed with this, but we'll get some futures out of you. I want to shout out Rich. I want to shout out Steven, Mason with us here. Matt's with us, Adrian, all these guys joining us. And you guys have really been supporting my show so far.
Where's this on Twitter?
We're on YouTube.
X?
Wager Talk YouTube. Well. We're on the X.
Oh, here we
are.
Well.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
good stuff.
But Gabe, before we get to your futures, man, I'm going to get a little soft on you because we have our back and forth and we have so much fun. But I got to thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me on your show for so many years because I've always wanted you to have on a show that I do. And, I got close to 14,000 followers now on Twitter, working at Wager Talk, doing all kinds of stuff. You had me on your show when I had, I think, 250 followers, and you've had me on every Tuesday for so long. We've had a lot of fun on TV, on radio. So I just want to say thank you because everybody needs their start. Everybody needs someone to help put them on and go on the radio. So I just wanted to say thanks because I have a lot of fun with you. And I just remember you used to always joke around about how some radio hosts, they don't have enough back and forth. And when I first started with you, I was always scared to like have a disagreement or a different opinion. And now on Tuesdays, you can tell I'm more comfortable. So me and you will have our back and forth. And I know it's all love. So I just wanted to really say thank you because you've definitely helped me out a lot.
Well, we appreciate it. And it's great seeing you, your rise through the years. We've known each other quite a long time now. Like I was thinking back about, that was a while ago that I was in Halifax. Like I mean, recording or I did shows or whatever there or what I was, whatever. And I was in Halifax. That was probably like 10 years ago or something. It's got to be in that range.
We were live at a bar, Halifax Sports Bar. Not a bad bar, actually. They kind of copied Real Sports in Toronto.
Yeah, it's like
we went out Real bar hopping after that. We actually had a decent crew that came out to join us, too. We had like 15, 20, 25. Decent crew that came out as well. We had some beers and ended up being kind of a late night, honestly. Good time.
Halifax is a good party town, right? People don't really know Halifax very much, or it's not talked about because they don't have pro sports teams, but it is. It's a college town. And you can't, like, literally every 6 feet, there's like an Irish pub somewhere there.
Yeah.
Like, there's bars everywhere. Good music scene, too, there. Good music scene in Halifax. I'd love to see a CFL team there. Right? I mean, that'd be the ultimate goal, or at least in the Maritimes, right? So it doesn't have to be in Halifax. Halifax seems to make, I know Moncton is pretty happening, and there's money in Moncton a bit, too, but wherever, like in the Maritimes, I'd like to see this eventually happen. Hopefully it does. We've been hearing about it for years.
The biggest thing, I talked to a guy, I did an interview with the guy that owns the CPL team, the Wanderers, the Halifax team. That's done really, really well. His biggest thing is that he thinks that in order the capacity that you need for a CFL, he thinks that people will have to travel. Like, it's not going to be Halifax's team. That's why it's going to be called the Atlantic Schooners. You'd have to have people from Cape Breton, from Moncton, from PEI, all kinds of places traveling. So here's the deal. Like, the World Juniors
either.
Yeah.
You don't want a team, like, you don't want to have a team and it's like, yeah, we have a team, but, you know, we can only really get like 17,000 people a game for it. And then what happens when we're not good and the novelty runs off? To be successful in the CFL, you kind of, you got to get like 25,000 people a game, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be able to sign players and be a real franchise. And also, is there the local corporate sponsorship for it? Right. And I know the area. I mean, you got McCain money. So you got the frozen French fry money.
Irving.
Irving oil money. So it's.
We could get into politics all night long, but there's a lot of stuff that people that don't like sports around Halifax want us taken care of before we get into sports.
Well, that's another thing, too.
Hope we do.
That's another thing, too. Right? But it should all be taken care of, right? It should go hand in hand. But you're right. Hospitals, there's a lot of, issues there, political issues. And also those two rich families, they're not the most, like, willing to throw money around on this stuff. So there's really not, right? They're one of those classic, like, HBO special families. They're all suing each other and whatever, like the McCains and all that type stuff. So next time you eat your frozen French fries, remember that. No, but it was great to have you on. So one thing, we will have people up. Listen, people gave me a chance, right? That's the whole thing. I wasn't on TV. I remember the first time I was on TV, it was Ron Rouche in Montreal. And on CTV, on like, CTV. And I remember people were like, are you crazy? You're bringing out a crazy guy from the radio on your TV show? And he was like, a 60-year-old man anchor, right? You never would have figured that he liked me and stuff, but he goes, I like your radio, I like your passion, your energy and stuff. And, I want to bring you on my TV show. He had a TV show once a week on Saturdays. And he got paid $250 to do it. It was pretty crazy. He got paid more for that than I've been on national TV shows in America. I got paid. So I really liked it. So I was on those. I wasn't making any money either. So I was like, wow, $250. I was on TV for 12 minutes. And then I sort of became a regular quickly on the show. Same with Michael Landsberg, right? Like, I wasn't very big. Like, I was on, like, a small radio station in Montreal. And Michael Landsberg had me on a couple of months into my career. And I became a regular over the years, so much so that I was on the last ever Landsberg show. Like, his last day I was on.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So it came full circle from, like, right? So I've had a lot of people help me over the years. And you know what I mean? So I've always been someone, I'm not, a lot of people, a lot of hosts and stuff, they're kind of jerks, right? It's like they don't want to talk to you unless, how many followers do you have?
Yeah.
Does it help me to, somehow, if you're, kind of a nobody, why would we have this nobody guy on, right? But even now, like I have all kinds of newcomers and different people on the show. I give them a chance. You can't have them on 20 times if they suck.
Yeah, of course.
But, and the Blue Jays officially win. Blue Jays win. 5-2
You love to see
final
that.
score. Blue Jays.
It's funny, Gabe.
New York Yankees.
Everybody said, oh, the Blue Jays, they're not acting like they've been here before. But then when the Yankees won one game in the series, they acted like they won the series yesterday. So they acted like we hadn't been there before.
One of the best parts about the Blue Jays winning is Yankee fans can shut up and go back to crying about Boone on WFAN. Nobody outside of New York cares about you. You're all sort of like self-inflated, egomaniacal. Oh, the Yankees. Like, nobody cares, all right? Like, the Blue Jays beat you. It's over. Now you can go back to crying about Boone and everything else.
It's all done with. But yeah, Gabe, I mean, look, we could do a 2-hour show talking about your career, and we'll take some questions and talk a little bit later on about it. The best, I got to say, I had so much fun. My first time visiting New York, it was kind of a spontaneous trip. I did all the touristy stuff. I was staying in Queens, took like an 45-minute subway, whatever it is, got lost trying to get there, got off on the wrong stop. Then I call you, you're like, wrong place. I get in an Uber, get to the studio, you and Joe Ranieri, my first time on radio, in a radio studio, and had so much fun with you guys
in New York,
studio, in Manhattan. Like, that was an unbelievable experience. And the funny thing is, I got called out on TikTok, actually. I'm trying to build my TikTok right now. It's kind of tough, and I had my profile picture on Twitter a lot, was a solo pic of me in your studio. But guess what I'm wearing is a pinstriped Yankee shirt. And I'm a Jays fan. So I had a bunch of people on TikTok be like, dude, your profile picture is literally you wearing a Yankee shirt. Are you a Canadian? Are you a Jays fan or what? But I was like, man, fuck, I'm going on New York radio. Like, I got to wear this sick shirt. It looks pretty cool. But anyway, I really do appreciate that. And, love hearing all the stories from you, but let's get to some futures, because I know
one thing. Listen, I just want to say with the Yankees, like you said, like I saw the video of the Sal Licata going off about how, I told you the Blue Jays suck. This series is over. Blue Jays are terrible. They're not a good team. I told you, after the one game yesterday. So I saw that, and Michael Kay earlier in the year, the Blue Jays just aren't a first place team. They're just not. It's like, well, you know what? You can watch the Blue Jays on TV now, guys, because you were obviously wrong. All right. So I just find it comical that it just bothers them so much. You know what I mean? It really does. It bothers people so much when teams from Canada win. So I actually enjoy it. I actually enjoy right now, as we speak, literally and figuratively, there are TV executives that are like having a shot right now. They're popping a couple of pills right now because they're like, oh, God.
They're pissed.
Toronto's going to be on TV for another 2 weeks again. This is just great. We're losing half of our market here right now. And it's going to be probably Seattle or Detroit. Either way, they're not going to be happy about that. So, like I just, it's fun. I just like seeing, it's like the Oilers making a cup. I know it bothers the NHL when teams from Canada do well. So,
well, it's like during the Raptors, man. The Raptors run against Philly and even Milwaukee, and then when they play the NBA, Warriors, though, travel to the Bay Area.
They dislike it less, though. I'll give Adam Silver credit. The Raptors get screwed up by the league all the time. Like, it just is what it is. But Adam Silver has a more of a global vision, right? Like, so basically, like, it was like, the ratings weren't good on ABC when the Raptors were on, because they lost one of their markets, one city, but globally it was like the most viewed NBA finals ever, right? You know what I mean? So the NBA doesn't as much. The NFL doesn't care who plays in a game. Like, the NFL doesn't really rig. The NFL isn't like, oh, we're worried if the Jags make the Super Bowl or something.
They don't like that.
The Super Bowl has the same damn ratings every year, no matter who's in the Super Bowl. Every year the Super Bowl ratings go up a little bit more.
Eat It USA Networks from Rich H. Shout out to Rich H. Mason says LA Kings goal. We had the first period over in the Kings and Golden Knights game. That system play, taking the over first period after a team got shut out. People were loving that last year. Even though the Kings scored with 2 minutes to go, in the game last night, I pretty much called it a shutout. I was like, they didn't get shut out, but they pretty much did. We're going to call it a shutout. We're going to play the first period over. So we'll see how that one goes. But Gabe, one thing I can always count on from you, and I always reply, and I know you can tell I'm messing with you, when you tweet out a list of like 15, like a sheet of paper almost of like picks, and I'm like, not enough, need more. And you're like, I did have more. So what do you have for futures? Maybe teams you're low on. Doesn't have to be exact under over wins and stuff, but teams you're higher on, teams you're lower on. Give us your thoughts here going into the NHL season. We're only 2 nights in, I should say. Overall, big picture, who do you like? Who do you not like this year?
Well, you know what? I do like the Chicago Blackhawks to go over 67.5 points. I didn't love what I saw in the first period last night from them. Last year, they gave up like the most shots on goal in the NHL. And it was pretty scary. They gave up, they're outshot like 17-3 in the first period last night. But Spencer Knight between the pipes for this team is going to keep them in some hockey games. Nazar's obviously a great young talent. They bring in Burakovsky, Teravainen. There's some players there now, right? They're not going to get run out of the rink. Now, I don't think they're a playoff team or anything like that, but they only got to get to 68 points. So, win 2 more games and lose a couple of more games in a shootout, and you get to 68. So I do think the Blackhawks are going to go over 68 points. Is it my best bet? No, but I gave it, so I want to share with people. I think the Avalanche are sort of on a mission, right? We sort of hear the Avalanche every year. They're co-favorites or whatnot, and they fall short. They have health issues. They've had a lot of bad hockey luck over the years. Last year, you talked about it, they adjusted their team on the fly, and they were still good, right? And I get the feeling that this is the year for the Colorado Avalanche, that they're going to get out of the Western Conference. So I'm high on the Avs this year. I like their point total over 104.5. The Florida Panthers. Now, this is a good thing with the in-game market, guys. The Panthers won last night, and it's still 100.5. It didn't move. Right. So it's like, all right, 1 game in. All right, you won. You beat the Blackhawks because they were expected to beat the Blackhawks. But I get it. Barkov is saying, hey, listen, you saw Barkov's already off crutches the other night, but he's still going to be out for like 5 months at best. Right. That's the plan. Like they said, 7 to 9. He goes, I'll be back in 5. So that's pretty much the regular season here. Tkachuk comes back in January or so. Playing the 3 consecutive Stanley Cup finals in a year in a row, guys, got to catch up to them. You add up the 4 nations, and now you're going to have the Olympics this year. Like some of their players are literally going to be like played nearly 400 hockey games in a 3-year span. Their bodies are going to start to break down. It's not just fighting through it mentally, but even if you think you're okay, it's not a coincidence. You're going to see a lot of Panthers are going to start to get hurt. Their bodies will break down. And now they have a massive target on their back. You see teams want to beat them up in the preseason. Right. So I don't think they care about getting 101 points. They just know we just got to make the playoffs and it will be fine. So I'm going to take the Panthers under. I already did under 100.5 points. The Montreal Canadiens is for you, McInnis, and all the Habs fans out there. Even though I have my concerns with the Canadiens, it's sort of like the Washington Commanders this year. Jaden Daniels has a great rookie year, and like the Texans a couple of years ago, same thing. And then everybody sort of anoints them as the next great thing. And then the next year they struggle. So I have my concerns that the Canadiens buy their own hype a little bit, right? And I think it might be good for them to start off the season with a couple of losses. So they remember, listen, you guys haven't done anything yet. You know what I mean? You're not that good. You could be good, but you're not, right? You got to prove that you're good. So I think they could stumble out of the gate and be humbled a little bit, but I still like the Habs to go over 90.5. Andrew, I think the Stanley Cup Finals, and it's tough in hockey. You want to give a prediction for the Stanley Cup Finals for the year, but people ask you for it. I'm going to say that Colorado beats the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think Tampa are the team to beat in the East this year. I think Cooper has one more big run in him here. Tampa Bay Lightning, their point total is 100.5, 102.5. I think they go over. Team is playing now, the LA Kings, 97.5. I think the Kings are overhyped all the time. There's a ceiling with the Kings, Andrew. Like, they're good, they're okay, but I think the Canucks are better than the Kings. I think, there's other teams. Like, the Kings are like the Flames to me. They're okay, but they're not, they haven't gotten better. They're not getting any younger. I'm not a big King guy coming in. I think 97.5 is too high for them. And the Vancouver Canucks. And I'll just tell you, people, for the Canucks, look at last year, Andrew and McInnis, for last year. What happened to the Vancouver Canucks? EP40, Pettersson had a terrible year. Like absolutely brutal stuff. And he got hurt and he missed games. JT Miller, there was a mutiny in the room with JT Miller and Pettersson and other guys, and they had to get rid of Pettersson. Besser was out all the time. Quinn Hughes missed like a ton of the season. Thatcher Demko was out. Clearly there was drama with Rick Tocchet because he left as soon as the season was over. They finished with 90 points. Their point total is 90.5 this year. And now you got a new coach. Garland's re-signed. Besser's re-signed. Demko's re-signed. You bring in Evander Kane. There's a lot of positivity like around this team right now, and for good reason. The only negative storyline around this team right now, McInnis, is the fact that Quinn Hughes is a free agent at the end of the year. So this is just going to be something that's going to be a shadow, right? But I think there's a lot to like about the Canucks coming into this year. And, especially at over 90.5 points. So I like the Canucks to go over 90.5 points. And I'll say this for tomorrow night. I don't know if Seelovs is playing again. I don't know if you know yet the confirmed goalies for tomorrow. But he's had a day off. He just pitched a shutout. Now they've got their season opener, home opener. Their home opener after pitching a shutout on the road. I'd go back to Seelovs at home. And I think Pittsburgh could surprise some people early in the season because of Seelovs' goaltending.
Well, it doesn't happen often where a goalie can win the job with one game, but if he was ever going to do it in one game, that game might have been the one to do it. And that was kind of the
They're
headline
home
everywhere.
Underdogs, Andrew,
wow.
to the Islanders. We're getting plus 115. Come on.
Yeah.
To the Islanders, really? Give me the Penguins.
Well, here's the deal. We always say this, and I know this sounds cliche, but it's true. Bad teams don't know they're bad yet.
Yeah, they're not bad
right?
yet
They
because
don't
bad
know
teams
they're
also
bad
have depth issues. So they're not hurt yet. They're not worn out yet. They're not exposed yet.
Exactly.
And also, I heard Ray Ferraro last night talking about it, which he did the Blackhawk game. So he basically said, and Ferraro was on a lot of bad teams in his career, right? He used to be on the Atlanta Thrashers and stuff when they sucked. And Ferraro goes, when you're on a really bad team, you get so tired of hearing people say that you're bad that you just don't even care anymore. And you just go out and play. You're like, yeah, whatever, we're bad. F you. Hey, we're supposed to be bad, right? And he goes, it can be liberating for certain teams at times. I think the Bruins are sort of that team this year a little bit. I warn people, I think the Bruins, everyone's, the Bruins are going to be terrible. I think they know that everyone says they're going to be terrible, and I think they can surprise some people.
I think the thing with the Bruins is that any game they win is going to go under. So if you like the Bruins, you take the team total over for the other team, because if the other team scores 3 goals on them, they're going to lose. I think that's the story with the Bruins. Jeremy Swayman missed training camp last year. This year, he was obviously good, right? He had a full summer training camp. People said, oh, it's not going to be a big deal. Are you kidding me? A goalie missing a training camp and preseason wasn't going to be a big deal. It ended up being a big deal. So I'm with you on a lot of that one. Funny enough, Gabe, my Stanley Cup final pick, and I gave this out on Sports Grid with you last year, was Colorado and Tampa. And now I'm like, man, I hear you say that. I'm going to be a year late. That's going to be the finals as well with that one. You hate to see it. So I just got a couple questions for you. Then we'll get some picks for later. Then we'll be all heavier on your way. But can Edmonton go back 3 straight years to the Stanley Cup? I mean, you mentioned Colorado, but there's Dallas, there is LA, there's the Vegas Golden Knights. There's a lot of teams creeping up in the Western Conference. I know this is kind of obviously I'm talking about one team versus the field here, but what's your take on this Oilers team? And I got to get your take on the McDavid contract. I mean, 2-year deal. It's almost like he's saying, guys, I'm out of here if you don't do anything. But man, it's hard to go to the Cup 1 year, let alone 3 straight years, Gabe. It really is.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic there, because where would the grass actually be greener on the other side if you're McDavid? Oh, right. I want a better chance of winning. Well, you were just in the finals. Like, yeah, you were just there. So, what do you think? The Leafs give you a better chance of winning? They don't ever make it to, short of joining Florida right now, what gives them a better chance? Right. But listen, I don't dismiss their chances. Is Skinner good enough to, would you like a better goaltending situation? Yes. Can you win with him? Yes, I think you can still win with him. but it's difficult, right? They have the same wear and tear on their body right now as the Panthers do for the most part without the rings. Let's call it out for what it is. At least you got the rings out of it.
100%.
Right? So they've got the same wear and tear. It's a tough spot for them, but you can't dismiss them. And I do agree as well. There cannot be a clearer message from Connor McDavid to the Oilers organization. You've got 2 years with me to do this, right? Like when he said, I got to think about my family, guys, when he lost within like 24 hours, man, he was spotted in Toronto. Like he didn't stay in Edmonton, he was gone, right? Like I got to think of my family and all that means I don't want to live in Edmonton my entire life. So,
but the grass isn't always greener. You just said it yourself.
Yeah.
You go to the Cup Finals 2 straight years. I know you did lose, but you also were in the Cup Finals. So
exactly,
you lost.
And you want to be known. You want to be known as the Kevin Durant. Oh, you want to go join Nate McKinnon or something?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's sort of this sort of. So I don't know if he leaves. We can't predict 2 years in the future, but I don't dismiss the Oilers' chances. Like they're still right there, right? Like you put them in a playoff series with Vegas, they could beat Vegas. You put them in a playoff series with Colorado, they could beat Colorado, right? Like who couldn't they beat in a playoff series? I guess Florida right now we're seeing. Maybe they end up playing not Florida this time around, and it's a better matchup for them. Right. So
I think they lose this year and then next year they actually go back. That's what I think. If they go this year that they realize, okay, what do we need? What are we missing? They pick somebody up at the deadline. Maybe they get some free agents. Because like I said, it's not, I think it's 3 years? Yeah, because it's this year, then plus 2 more years for Connor. So it's not 2 more years.
Exactly.
So he's got 3 more years. So this year, I think they get bounced. Maybe we'll call it second round. Then they have a full summer of reset. Then they talk and say, okay, this is what we need. We'll figure it out. And let's be completely honest here. Skinner isn't exactly the reason why they've lost the Cup Finals, but he's not the reason that they've won it either. And I think that they're going to realize, is this our guy too? Vegas, what do you think about Vegas? Marner goes there. He leaves Toronto. We don't want to get into the drama behind it, but everybody loves Vegas. I don't know one hockey bettor that doesn't love Vegas going into this season.
No, and I don't fully get it, to be honest. I think they're overrated. And in fact, they're losing 2-0 right now. The Oilers
First period over.
The Oilers are up 2-0 though. I don't like that for my total. 2-0 already for the Edmonton Oilers. Right. Speaking of the Oilers. No, with Vegas, I consider them in the same category. Right. I don't put them above Colorado. Right. I put Colorado a little above them, to be honest with you. Right. And it is kind of funny, isn't it, when you hear the Mitch Marner stuff? Well, now, now you're like Vegas. Oh, well, and they bring in Mitch Marner. It's like, well, it's not like Mitch Marner's been a playoff killer or anything. That's why he's not on the Leafs anymore. Right? So it's a dynamic, but I do like McInnis that Vegas are getting younger. Right? Like they identified it. Like the team that they kept on, the team that they've had over the years, it had peaked. Right? They played a lot of, like we talked about, they played a lot of hockey. They need some fresh blood in here. I still think they need more, though. So I've got Colorado. I've got Colorado still kind of ahead of Vegas. So, but you're right. Everybody sort of has anointed Vegas as the team to beat in the West this year. I have not. I think it's wide open in the West. I really do. Dude, you can't dismiss Dallas, Edmonton, Vegas, Colorado. I think Vancouver are going to be a dangerous team. I mean, hell, some people like the St. Louis Blues. I saw Nick Kiprios pick the St. Louis Blues to win the Stanley Cup this year.
Ooh. Interesting. That's St. Louis Blues. Well, they're going to need a lot of defense and a lot of goaltending, that's for sure. I think one thing for the Vegas Golden Knights, look, let's be honest, again, not to get into the drama, but there's not really, I mean, look, no one's going out to his house after a game he didn't score a goal. No one's finding where he lives in Vegas. The fact is, he's not really going to be in the public eye. And number one,
him and Eichel will be pretty good together, right? On a power play. Yeah.
Barbashev, Eichel, Stone, there's a lot of guys there, so it's not like he's going to be the main guy in the public eye. All right, Gabe, there's 13 games tomorrow for us to get to. There's a lot of action, a lot of stuff to get into. Any picks you have for us? Anything you want to mention? There's a lot we got
now. I mean, I'm not very happy as a Dodger fan watching the Dodgers lose 3-1 right now. I got to tell you, and I got a lot on this game. But looking ahead tomorrow, as far as Vancouver, look, Calgary losing right now. They're playing. It's going to be a tough spot for them, right? You're playing, and it's not an easy trip either from Edmonton to Vancouver, right? So they're going to get to Vancouver literally. I used to live across the street from a hotel that the NHL team stayed at. It was pretty funny, McInnis. it was good for a betting perspective for me. Like I would see, I'm like, oh look, the Leafs are arriving right now. It's like 3:40 in the morning.
You're like,
right?
this guy's hammered over here, coming home.
No.
No.
It's more like they just look miserable.
Oh,
they're
okay.
getting off a bus. They're getting, you know what I mean? Like literally, they leave. So imagine you're the Calgary Flames. You're playing at Edmonton tonight. You're not flying in the morning.
Yeah.
So right after the game, you got to hurry up, get off there, whatever. Go. It's a couple hours. Then whatever, you got to take a bus from the airport. It's the middle of the night. You got to take a bus to the airport, to a hotel. You got to check into your room and everything like that. Now it's done for them for the most part, but it's not Star Trek. They don't get to beam themselves up.
Well, I watched the interview that
the
captain gets to pick. Apparently the captain gets to pick. So they get to pick the practice time the next day, and the captain gets to decide, well, on some teams, if they stay overnight and then fly out in the morning, or if they fly out that night. So it was an interview I watched with Crosby one time, and then actually Suzuki. Apparently you have to be a captain for a few years. It's not like right away when you become the captain, but you earn that relationship with your coach and your GM. Hey, what time do you want the first bus to leave to the arena? What time do you want the last bus to leave?
Exactly. But that's as the season goes on. And like you said, you earn the respect and trust of that. All right, you know what? We don't need a morning skate like so early because I trust you guys. Like morning skates were really created for what? To stop players from getting too drunk the night before.
Got to be there, be fresh.
Yeah. Because if you told them, all right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. You only got to be at the rink at 4:00 in the afternoon. They'll be like, all right, well, okay. Like, you know what I mean? You tell them, oh, you got to be here at 8 a.m. or roll call breakfast at 8 in the hotel lobby or whatever. In the hotel, but as far, listen, the Canucks last year, if you recall, they were up like 4-1 in the opening night against the Flames, and they lost the game. Like they blew the game. I don't think they blow it this time. I think the Canucks, I think the empty netter could be this. I don't want to lay 200. So I'll give the empty netter here. I'll say they win by 2 or more. You're getting plus 130 as well. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Penguins tomorrow as dogs. I don't even care who's the goalie. I hope it's Seelovs, but give me the Pittsburgh Penguins. Their season opener tomorrow. Crosby's going to be fired up, Andrew. Doesn't have many season openers left in him, right? Yep. So he's going to be super excited. They won the game. Like you said, they don't know they suck. They got 2 points. They're feeling good about themselves right now. And I hate to say this. Well, you got the Chicago Blackhawks and the Boston Bruins tomorrow. We got to go over 1.5 in the first period here. And I think the Red Wings are going to beat the Canadiens tomorrow.
Oh, man.
And the Devils look like good dogs tomorrow, don't they? Devils, that's a nice price. Plus 135 in a toss-up.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. And I'll tell you what, we talked about Vegas being a hyped-up team, but for some reason you pick up
overhyped too.
You picked up Nikolai Ehlers, and all of a sudden, hey, watch out for the Carolina Hurricanes. This team is average. One thing about the Devils, though, I think that this is going to be a year, and based on some quotes I read, I think we're going to see higher scoring games out of them. There's too much talent on that team for the coach to have them on a leash, because that game could have the making to be a boring game, but there is offensive talent out there. So as you mentioned, we got a ton of games going on tomorrow, 13 to be exact here. I'll tell you what, Anaheim, Seattle, here's your late night DGen special. Give me the over in that one. Some 5.5s and some 6s. She'll shop around there. Everybody loves Anaheim too. I don't know what's going on. I actually, a couple bookmakers have been on Wager Talk TV, Wager Talk Today. Overhyped. Everybody thinks that they're good, make the playoffs, some sharp bets. I don't know about that, but I'll tell you what, Gabe, they're going to score goals. They're going to score. So over 5.5, Anaheim and Seattle. So all kinds of games tomorrow, brother. I cannot wait. Before I get you out of here, got to ask, I mean, with your grandfather and with all the games and with the Expos and with the Habs, any stories you want to mention, NHL players you've met, just your career in broadcasting, anything you want to throw it out there. I know you've met some unbelievable players in your time, whether it be in Montreal itself or while you've been traveling. Any stories you want to mention, or any stories that stood out throughout your career so far to kind of get you here? Because I know that when I've been following you, and I at one point I was on your Patreon stuff and your YouTube stuff, and you would just be like reminded of something, and then you'd go on like a 15-20 minute story, and I could see it, like you just sound like remembering the story back. I remember one story I've heard you tell a few times is you got a stick gifted to you. I don't know if it was, I can't remember who it was from, but
Yeah, that
you
was
ended up
good.
going to play with it, the stick, and
Yeah.
it would probably be worth a ton right now. So anything you want to mention for us throughout your career or in your life,
Well,
all the people you've talked to?
we got a million stories. So, but that one, that's a good one actually. My uncle played for the Edmonton Oilers with Wayne Gretzky and Messier and Curry and everybody. So, and like Gretzky's like rookie year in the NHL. So like he was on the team. He was on the Quebec Nordiques actually, but he was in the WHA, and the Jets, the Nordiques, etc. The Oilers came into the NHL, and he got traded to the. So he went from the Nordiques to the Oilers, and the Montreal Oilers played in Montreal, and I went to their practice in the morning and stuff. I went to the morning skate and stuff, but I suited up. So I went there and stuff, and we went to like a public rink. We went to a public park after with a bunch of players and played, and they're blasting slap shots and all that type of stuff. But so after the practice in the morning, he tells me there was a diner across the street from the Montreal Forum where like a lot of the bands would big bands would eat there, and players and stuff. It's just a little diner, and like, so it was like, and the hotels where the players would stay was near this diner. So he tells me, meet me at the diner after practice or whatever. And he goes, I'm going to bring a couple of people over with me. So I'm sitting there in the diner and stuff, and in comes Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier.
And you had no clue, right? You had no clue.
I didn't know. Exactly. So they sit down. Hey, kid, how you doing? Yeah, it's good to be with you. What's for breakfast? And, so I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, my God. I'm sitting like, I'll never forget. I was literally sitting just next to Wayne Gretzky in like a booth. And I was like 11 years old, right? And I said to him, I said, hi, Mr. Gretzky. And I had the sports section. There's no computers. No, I had the sports section. And I said, hey, Mr. Gretzky, I said, you're 2 points behind Marcel Dion for the lead of points in the NHL. And he goes, oh, am I? And he starts, I remember he goes, he started asking me. He did not know for real. Like, there's no, like, he did not know. He goes, really? He goes, how many goals do I have anyways? And I told him. It was funny. I tell him and stuff. And he goes, how many assists? And he goes, really? He goes, how many does Marcel Dion have? And then Wayne goes, I really don't care about winning that stuff, but it's cool to see this. And he's looking at like the other players in the league, and he's looking at the standings and stuff like that. And so Wayne Gretzky gives me a stick. He autographs a stick for me, and he goes, all right, here you go, kid. And he's autographed a stick, is a Titan stick. And I took it outside to the park, and I played with it, and I broke it. I took a slap shot, and I broke the stick, and I threw it in a snowbank.
Oh, man.
Somewhere like in a snowbank, there's like Wayne Gretzky's stick, like sticking. I legit thought, I was like, I'll meet him again. You know what I mean? Because I should know that I met the Nordiques and stuff like that. And I was kind of spoiled in that sense. Like, I wasn't rich as a kid. Like, my grandfather didn't make money in the NHL, right? When he played like in an era that didn't make money. But I knew, like, I met everybody in hockey. Right? Like, when I was a kid, this is a funny one. You like this because I was a kid. I was like 5 years old or something at the Montreal Forum, 6 years old. Maybe I'm a little older, actually, because I actually remember it. So it was like 7 or 8 or whatever. So anyways, I'm at the Montreal Forum. It was Saturday night, and it was in between periods. And like I said, my grandfather played for them, and he had season tickets, like his pictures like on the wall and stuff. So like he basically had all access. So like, you know what I mean? So he took me down. We were in like outside the Buffalo Sabres locker room, and out comes Punch Imlach, who was one of the most famous hockey people of all time, right? And of course, buddies of my grandfather is like, hey, Punch, how you doing? And like, I remember Punch had the old man hat on and all that, and like, dressed like the old like GMs and stuff. And he goes, how you doing, kid? And I said, great. I said, the Canadians are beating the Sabres 4-0. I said, but the Sabres aren't very good, so I don't really know what that means. And my grandfather sort of gives me this dirty look and stuff, right? And I start trashing the Sabres. I'm like, man, they're not very good, but they have nice uniforms and stuff. I'm like going off as a kid about how I like their uniforms and stuff. And then finally, Punch sort of grins, and he's like shaking my hand on the way out. And he goes, just for the record, Punch Imlach, general manager of the Buffalo Sabres. And he sort of crushes my hand a bit as a kid. And my grandfather starts laughing. And he goes, that was really funny. But he goes, Punch does not have a sense of humor. So he actually was mad. But he goes, that was funny. Like he told me, he goes, that was funny. That he goes, you just upset Punch Imlach for the record. Right. And so as a kid, I've upset
Your
Punch
grandfather was
Imlach.
laughing, though? He didn't. Your grandfather thought it was funny?
He thought it was funny. He goes, that Punch is just upset because his team sucks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty funny stuff. But
your story about the stick, though, it goes to show that these days, I mean, I hate to see it. I mean, I went to a CPL Canadian soccer game, and, kids are yelling and they want their autographs. And Gabe, nobody actually wants it for the value of it anymore.
No, they want to sell it.
To sell it or tell people like you got
and
old men.
I wouldn't have sold it. I probably would have over the years. I probably would have cracked. No, right, but I probably would have cracked after and said, "Oh, it's worth $8,000 or something like that." But you have to understand too. Like I was a goalie, I played, and I was using Andy Mugg's stick like as a kid. So like I was kind of like I literally like had a garage full of NHL player sticks, Andrew. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, oh yeah, I got Stastny's stick here. I got Daniel Bouchard, the goalie of the Nordique stick, and like because like whatever team he was on, whatever stars, whatever, because he was a fighter. So like the guys were always nice to him. That's what Gretzky said. Oh, like your uncle saved me a few times, right? Like so. I had the Stastny stick, all this memorabilia of all these teams. I used to get skates like every year because he had a deal with Lang Skates, which were a crap-ass company, like the old plastic skates, like the old boot. You look like an alien. But he had a deal with them, and he used to give them to me. Like he had a skate endorsement deal. So I used to get like free skates, free hockey sticks and all this type stuff. So, and also Wayne Gretzky was a rookie. Think about it, McInnis. Like, I'm 11. Okay, yeah, he's only like 17, 18. You know what I mean? Like, he was like a teenager. Like, it was like, who the hell knew he was going to go on and be the greatest player of all time?
Well, I guess it was easy for us to say now, looking back on it, like, hey, what were you thinking? What were you thinking throwing that in the snowbank? Easy to say now for us talking here.
The funny thing is, we can wrap it up, but the funny thing is, I kind of like, about a year or two later, like, it kind of kicked in. Like, I was like, damn, man, like, it really bothered me, and you can't make this up. So I was like, you got to get me another one type thing. Except by this point, Andrew, Wayne Gretzky's becoming a bigger and bigger star and stuff, right?
It's not as easy, right? Not as easy to get.
Yeah, it's not quite as easy as it was when he was a kid in the diner. Like, so I was like, all right, And then my uncle got traded to the St. Louis Blues. And I was like, that's it. I'm cut off.
You're done.
I can get a bunch of St. Louis Blues crap right now, but I can't get a Gretzky. You know what I mean? I was like, he got traded. And you get this. This is the worst part for him. He played in the Stanley Cup Finals. So, like, when they made it to the finals, like the Oilers did, right? So he played in the Stanley Cup Finals. They got swept by the New York Islanders. The next year, he got traded at the trade deadline of the St. Louis Blues, and the Oilers go on and win 4 straight cups.
Oh, that's a
cold world, huh?
That's tough. That's tough to hear.
There for like 3 years.
You didn't really want that St. Louis Blues gear either.
Then they win all those cups. You know what's crazy, though? The Oilers felt so bad about it all after they actually gave him the job as the strength and conditioning coach of the Cape Breton Oilers.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm familiar. My old man would know all about that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the thing. I mean,
that's sort of Gretzky, like, sort of looks out for his buddies. That's the one thing, like that old Oiler team. But you know what I mean? It's like, all right, you're not as rich as some of us. You want a job in the NHL, whatever. Like, plus he's a workout fiend. He owns his own gyms now and stuff like that. But yeah, he was the strength and conditioning coach at the Cape Breton Oilers.
Well, that's got to be a shitty feeling.
I could talk for hours. I could tell you hockey stories for hours.
I love your stories, Gabe, because I can tell in your head you're just like reminiscing, and the more the story pops up, you remember more and more stuff. But that's a story I've heard from you a couple of times, and I mean, I don't have anything close to that. I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to play pickup hockey at the local arena where all the hockey teams play in Halifax, and J.S. Shagir, John Sebastian Shagir, used to play in the queue, so he was playing goalie, just kind of getting some reps in with the local team. And I had my player stick with me because my dad was coming on after the Mooseheads were practicing. I was like, hey, JS, like, will you sign this? Will you sign my stick? And he's like, who the hell is this kid? And I had my player stick, getting a goalie signature on a player stick. My dad gets home from work the next day. I'm playing road hockey with the stick that I just got an autograph on. He's like, what are you doing? He just signed it for you yesterday. And I was like, it's a nice stick. He gave me a stick too. And so,
dude, I did it as an adult. I was an adult. I was like 19 or 20 or something like that. But I caught a home run ball at Dodger Stadium. And it was like a big fight. Like, it was a big brouhaha to get it and in the stands and all that type of deal. And same thing. I went home and I told my buddy, I said, yeah, he's got a Major League Baseball at Dodger Stadium. I said, you want to play catch with it? So we go into a parking lot and start throwing it. I was throwing it like pop flies in the air and stuff like that. And I threw it on top of the Hollywood Holiday Inn in Hollywood. And I was like, son of a bitch. And I told the security guy, I said, listen, I got to get on your roof. I just threw a baseball up there. And he goes, what do you care about a baseball for, man? And he goes, how'd you throw a baseball? He
had no idea. He goes,
what do you care about a baseball for? And I said, I just got this ball yesterday or earlier today at Dodger Stadium at the Met Dodger game. And he goes, oh, really, huh? And then I see him after taking the ball from the roof and keeping it. So he went up there and he kept the ball. So we all do stupid things, trust me.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Gabe, Tokyo Brandon Siefkin from Wager Talk. Is Gabe a regular? Holy cow, I'm a huge fan of his. Look, Gabe coming on tonight, but I go on Gabe's show all the time. Gabe, he watches your shows all the time, and he is the best baseball bettor I've ever met in my life. He does Japanese baseball. He does the Korean baseball. He, of course, does MLB. That's all he does at Wager Talk is baseball. So he's in your comment section on YouTube, on Twitter. He used to always be bumping in there, but great guy, Brandon. So, yeah, big fan. Tokyo Brandon, you kick ass with baseball, man. And remember when I was a bandwagoner for 1 year with the KBO? Well, Brandon's been doing every single baseball league for the last 15 years. He used to be a major league scout over in Korea. He's from Arizona. He used to be a major league scout, moved over there. Then he just got into betting. He said, I'm getting out of this. I'm going to just start betting on the game. So he started betting KBO and Japanese. So
I used to bet the Japanese league more than the Korean league. The Korean league's gotten better over the years, but I used to bet the Japanese league religiously for the last 20 years as well. I remember meeting a bunch of Japanese tourists on a bus in Toronto once, and they were amazed. I was rattling off all the teams and stuff in the league. They were all like, "Oh, I couldn't believe I knew everything about but it wasn't like the COVID stuff. But by that time I sort of stopped. That was almost a problem for me. It was almost like, having a drug problem or something like that. I was betting too much Asian sports. I had an Asian issue. I was betting too many Asian sports, 4 a.m. type stuff.
Oh yeah,
Filipino basketball. But I'm not betting $50 a game and stuff. So I got a ton of money on rain or shine games, and
oh yeah.
I'm betting I bet a lot of the Korean basketball league, actually. I bet that more than baseball.
Cool.
Korean basketball league, the Seoul Thunder and all that type stuff. So I know all about these international leagues. But
especially,
I had a degenerate betting problem, though. So I was like, I got to stop betting this stuff. So I've sort of backed off it.
Well, it's funny because Brandon hasn't been shy to say this to me before, because if I'm out drinking with my buddies, I get home at 2, 3 in the morning, and keep in mind Halifax time, it's later even for me. If Brandon ever got a message from me and it was 4 in the morning Eastern time, hey Brandon, me and my friends just got home from the bar. Do you have any bets for me? And he's like, Andrew, you just feel like getting some bets down or what? He just knew I was scratching the itch. Hey, Brandon, you got a bet for me? I'm already awake. And then, of course, the KBO first pitch was in half an hour. So that's the thing. If you get into those Asian sports, you're pretty much betting 17 hours a day. There's only 4 or 5 hours where there isn't a game going on. But anyway, Gabe, you've hung around with me for a long time. Your prediction in the Stanley Cup final, the exact one that I had last year, you're saying Colorado and Tampa Bay Lightning.
Colorado beats Tampa Bay for the Stanley Cup.
Ooh. All right. Gabe Morency, Sports Grid. Gabe, I always appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.
Good stuff, Andrew.
All right, guys. So happy to have Gabe with us there, and I really, really appreciate his time. We are live every single weeknight, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here, Wager Talk TV on X as well. having different guests, but also breaking things down. Shout out to Steve-O. He says that Oils in the first period, -0.5, +130. Mentioned it on Puck Time, mentioned it on the pre-scout last night. So we cashed that ticket. First period over, we cashed that in the LA Kings and in the Vegas Golden Knights ticket in the Knights. So we cashed that. So it's been a really good run so far in the NHL, guys. We're doing real well. We did lose the Montreal Canadiens. Wasn't happy about that, but I also said to you, if we lose the Montreal Canadiens, we're going to go back on them against Detroit. I think they go at least 1-1 their first 2 games. They're plus money in both those games. If we go 1-1, we'll make some money. But shout out to Austin. Shout out to Steve-O, Rich, Steven, Finn, all of us in here. And I know we had Mason in here as well. So all of you guys here. Look, guys, Gabe's a guy I've been going on his show for several years. And Tuesdays, I'm on his podcast. I go on Sports Grade every now and then as well. We touched on a handful of games for tomorrow, but I'll throw out a couple that I like for you guys right now. We're going to take Dallas in Winnipeg. I like the road team in that one. That one's around to pick them, but we have seen some books take money on the Dallas Stars. We'll take the Dallas Stars on the money line in Winnipeg. As I mentioned, Anaheim, Seattle, over 5.5. That's a game late night. I know we got 2 decent goaltenders, but a lot of young offensive talent on both those teams. I think we'll see over 5.5 in that one. Calgary, Vancouver. I think Vancouver team total, Vancouver puck-and-a-half. I think we do see Vancouver get the job done against the Calgary Flames. And of course, Calgary playing tonight. And that great stat and trend that Ralph Michaels gave us, it actually favors the team that hasn't played a game yet. People think the team that already has a game under their belt, it favors them. But second half of a back-to-back, you're going to get a fresh team. Vancouver is sitting at home. They're fresh. They're waiting for them to come to town after playing the Oilers tonight. I like it quite a bit. So we'll look towards taking them to get the job done. Vancouver on the puck line. So a lot of good stuff here, guys. We got 13 games. We got Puck Time tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. If you're watching on YouTube, comment below. Hope you like this segment. Sometimes we're going to have interviews. Sometimes we're going to have guests. Sometimes we're going to go through all the slate and all of the games. But really hope you guys cash some tickets tonight with me. Let's make some money tomorrow and wish you guys all the best. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Pre-Scout.